Welcome to the regular scheduled public meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Shreveport-Caddo Parish Metropolitan Planning Commission. For public hearing agenda items, if you wish to make public comments on an application, we have comment slips at the speaker stand next to the podium. For further notification purposes, it is very important that you fill out a slip and drop it in the box when you come forward to speak. When you come up to speak, please state your full name, mailing address, and zip code before addressing the board. We will call each case on the agenda in order and hear first from the applicant, then those speaking in favor. 10 minutes are allotted for the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. We will then hear from those wishing to speak against an application. Again, 10 minutes are allocated for the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. One representative of the application can then speak in rebuttal if desired. After hearing comments on each case, the board will then immediately deliberate and vote on that case before moving on to the next case on our agenda. Please note, when the board is deliberating, members of the public are not permitted to comment. Any member of the public may request a copy of the board's decision on a particular case by contacting our office at 318-673-6480 after 1 p.m. tomorrow, or by accessing our website at shreveportcaddompc.com. All ZBA board decisions on cases within the city limits of Shreveport are subject to appeal to district court. All ZBA decisions on parish cases are subject to appeal to the parish commission. Please note that it is your responsibility to contact either district court or the parish administrator's office about their procedures as related to the matter you are concerned with. Copies of this document and phone numbers to contact the governing bodies are available on the table next to the podium and in the entryway to this room. As a courtesy, please remember to turn off all cell phones while the ZBA is in session. The Zoning Board of Appeals values your testimony and appreciates your compliance with these guidelines. Approval of the minutes. What do I hear?
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Cooper moved to approve. Mr. Stewart second. Please vote.
Can't vote.
Oh, you're not able to vote?
They're not.
Approved unanimously. Okay. First case up is case number BAP-34-17, special accepting use and variance, Juan Mendez. Is anybody here to speak in favor of this? And so you're here to get a special acceptance use and variance on a mobile home?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. You need your, thank you. What's your full name, address, and zip code, please?
Juan Carlos Mendez, and 7502 Jefferson Page Road, 71119.
Thank you. Go ahead. Why don't you tell us about what you're trying to do here?
Huh?
Why don't you tell us what you're trying to do?
I tried to get a permit for I can put my electric in there and everything, you know, the septic tanks and all that.
So you can't get your electrical to it till you get approval to
Yeah.
have it. Now my understanding is this mobile home's already on the site.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments or any questions from the board?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else here that's for? Anybody against? What do I hear?
Move to approve
Did you do-
approve with steps.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Farrell moved to approve. Mr. Stewart, second. Please vote. Approved unanimously. Next case, case number BAP-35-17, special exception use, Kenneth Arnold Jr. and Star L. Arnold.
Good afternoon. Kenneth Arnold, 8226 Village Fair, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107.
Thank you. Mr. Arnold, why don't you tell us what you're trying to accomplish here?
I'm trying to put a mobile home in a mobile home park.
Any questions for Mr. Arnold? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anybody else for? Anybody against? Okay, what do I hear?
Move to approve as submitted.
Move to approve by Mr. Stewart, second by Mr. Hendricks. Please vote. Unanimously approved. Next case, number BAP-36-17, Jonathan Friday and Leah K. Friday.
Jonathan Mollett, Friday, 3335 Jonathan Edwards Circle in Shreveport, zip 71119.
Thank you, Mr. Friday. Why don't you tell us what you're trying to accomplish here?
And just add a pool house in our backyard.
Okay. My understanding, other homes adjacent to you have secondary
Yes.
structures similar in nature or such?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for your time.
Does he understand that he has to show revised site plan? Does that relate to him?
You have a revised site plan. Did you understand that you have to submit that? Okay. Is there anybody else for? Is there anybody against? What do I hear?
I move to approve with stipulations.
Mr. Hendricks moves to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Stewart. Dr. Stewart, sorry.
Mr. Chair, I think for the record, all of these cases that you're approving includes the stipulations recommended by staff. Is that correct?
I would agree that that should be included as the stipulations, which is that they have to show a revised site plan showing the requested information to be submitted for review and approval by the executive director prior to the issuance of any permits.
Thank you, sir.
Please vote. Approved unanimously. Next case is VAP-37-17, August Brandon, special exception use.
My name is August Brandon. My address is 302 Newbern Lane, Shreveport, 71106. We would like to purchase this property on East Kings for church use.
Tell us a little bit about access to, is it a shared drive?
It is a shared drive.
Have you talked, has there been any discussions between you and the people y'all are sharing this drive with?
One of our other members spoke to the gentleman that is directly next door. He seemed to be fine. I personally have not spoken to him.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, do you think you might need a bit more than verbal agreement in the future from the other gentleman?
Well, I'm not sure. This is new to me, but it would.
Are you the pastor
I
of the
can
church
answer-
or
I
a
can-
deacon or?
I am one of the elders. There's 3 of us who are elders there.
Mr. Chair, I could shed some light on some of that. There is a servitude of passage that is associated with the property that gives the right for the adjacent property to use that driveway. So it's actually, the drive is actually located on this property, and they allow the adjacent property to access
Okay.
through their property, is the way it works. Now, one question that came up when we were reviewing this earlier was, how is the maintenance of the driveway? Is that taken care of by the primary owner? If you don't have the answer to that question, maybe someone else can speak to that. See a gentleman in the audience, I think, can speak to it. Yeah. So
You can talk after him and answer that question. Unfortunately, we can only have one speaker at a time.
Okay, I'll wait, I just have. some
No problem, no, I understand. Y'all understand there's some stipulations for approval. Part of this is that y'all have to, that a site plan be submitted for review and approval.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The only question I would have about it is, at the time that you're having your service, that the cars, you know, the question about whether the cars would be into the driveway where the other people that are sharing the driveway couldn't get in and out. Have y'all talked about that, or?
No, we do have on our site plan a plan for a parking area
Okay. But is that
off of that general area, you know,
Okay. Is that a hard surface area, or is it grass, or? Exactly
well, it's grass at the current time, but we do plan to put in a hard surface.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Brandon.
Okay.
Anybody else have want to speak?
I'm Percy Wheeler.
We need your name, address.
I've got it here.
We need you to speak it out.
Huh?
I need you to speak it into the microphone, your name and address.
Is that better?
Yes, sir.
I'm Percy Wheeler, and I own the lot next to them.
Yes, sir. I need your address.
It's all on this card.
I understand.
And you got me a loan address. You sent me a letter.
Yes, sir. But for the record, we need you to speak
Oh,
your
I'm
address.
Percy Wheeler at Post Office Box 52043, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71135, which is what I was notified. And I'm the next door neighbor to them.
Okay.
And the only question, I don't really have any objection to a church. The biggest question I have is a facility. It's in a light industrial area, and the driveway accessing my house is common to the Bridge Club, which is the northern side of me, and there'll be the church on the south side. I don't really have any objection to them, but there's not much facilities for them to run a church. They've got a lot, but there's no parking, and the driveway is not, it's got a lot of business from the Bridge Club. There's a lot of members. So I'm concerned about access, and what they plan to do. And also, I have no idea what kind of church it is. I'd kind of like to just generally to know what it is. I don't really plan to have objections. I talked to one of their members, and they said they were a Christian church. That's all I know. And I really don't have any objection to a church per se. I'm just concerned about the ability to park very many cars, without getting in my driveway, right in my gate. And the driveway comes in right to my gate. And those are the questions I have, and I'm not here to object about it particularly. I would like to know what kind of church they have and what size, or if they plan to renovate or build a lot of facilities or what. I don't have any idea.
Well, staff might be able to answer the parking issue because they have a site plan review, so
Okay.
they can definitely address that.
Well,
They
that's really,
review it specifically for the use and the parking as opposed to.
yeah, they're gonna have to put another driveway probably because it's just gonna be hard to handle a lot of more traffic on that one driveway. It's a common for about 100 people, like it is, going to the Bridge Club, and so we're gonna need help there. And and I've talked to one of the members one day, and he said they'd probably put a parking lot and a driveway out on the other side, so that probably will solve it. I just don't know. I don't have any knowledge of what we're planning to do,
Yes,
and
sir.
so that's what I was concerned about.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Okay, anybody else for? Anybody against? This might be a good time for a rebuttal. At least you can answer possibly some of his questions.
Well, one of the things is that our meeting times will be different. Lord's Day morning, the Bridge Club is not in operation. And then Wednesday evening, they may be, but I've not seen anyone there in the evening time on Wednesdays.
And you said what were the days?
Lord's Day morning, Sunday,
Okay,
and then Wednesday evenings.
and Wednesday evening. Approximately how many people will be there?
Usually we have about 20 members, and so generally on Wednesday evening we have probably 15 to 18 come, and then on the Lord's Day we'll have 20 to 25, depending on how many children come.
Anybody have any other questions?
I think to answer his question further, he asked about what type of church it was,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you can help him address that, so the gentleman behind you, so we can have a better
Yeah.
understanding of what type of church it is.
Well, we're just fundamentalist Christians.
Oh, you need to,
Speak to the mic.
yeah. speak
We're
to the mic.
fundamentalist Christians. We don't take a name like Baptist or Methodist or anything like that. We just receive. If you believe in the Lord, we receive you. There's no requirement to be baptized by us. If you say you're baptized, we receive you. We're born again believers. We love the Lord Jesus, and we receive all who call on Him.
I have a question. On the driveway,
Yes.
the gentleman that spoke before you, he had mentioned that someone had talked to him and mentioned that possibly you would have another driveway on the opposite side of the church. Is that what is that still in play?
Well, we haven't really talked about that. The gentleman that he talked to may have said that, based on maybe his objection. We're willing to do what we need to do, but I know he said the driveway goes right into where his place is, but the driveway is actually on this property here.
Okay.
And it curves in right in front of his gate to the left.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
See, so we're not on anybody's property when we drive in, and we do understand that, you know, access, even though it is on our property, they have to have access to get to. There's a little subdivision back in there as well,
Right.
and that, you know, those folks need to have access, and so we're not, you know, going to do anything that would hinder that or, you know, cause them not to be able to get to their properties.
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Yes. Obviously, this is the review for the site plan is an administrative approval. The staff will look at access is always one of the key issues that we look at. And we will look at to make sure that there is adequate space for vehicles to be able to be removed from any impediment or to act as an impediment. As far as the layout now, if someone parks where they shouldn't park, that becomes more of a management issue for the church to be able to make sure that they monitor that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to make sure in our review to accommodate that in our design review. The other aspect of this is that when you're dealing with these small lots like this, getting to access points on a piece of property could sometimes be difficult because of the potential conflicts and turning movements. So just looking at this and based on our previous experience, it's probably going to be very difficult to get another driveway approved because of the way that this lays out. And so what we would work on from a standpoint of staff is making sure that the vehicular movements that on their property, that there's enough space for those to occur in order for the other property to also operate, since they're depending on the same access. So that's something we do as far as our staff review. And in the review also with the city engineering department who deals with the streets, they also will be making comments on access. So we'll be working, you know, very closely on that just to make sure it functions properly.
Thank you. Is any other questions, comments? Thank you for your time. So what do I hear?
Move to approve with steps.
Mr. Cooper moved to approve. Mr. Hendricks, second. With steps. Please vote. Approved unanimously. Next case is case number BAP-38-17, special exception use. Danielle Foster for a mobile home.
Hello, my name is Danielle Foster. My address is 5630 Crystal Drive, Shreveport 71107.
Okay. Ms. Foster, why don't you tell us what you're doing here today?
Just trying to get a building permit to put a mobile home on my lot of land.
Okay. I see there's no stipulations that are on this, so it seems pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else for? Is there anybody against? What do I hear?
Move to approve as submitted.
Dr. Stewart moved to approve. Mr. Hendricks, second. Please vote. Approved unanimously. Okay, that is the end of the public portion of the hearing. On to other business. Mr. Jean, do you have any updates for us on the master plan?
Yes, the Unified Development Code is in front of the Parish Commission. We expect them to act on that this Thursday with a potential implementation date of December 1st. So you will be continuing to see some cases come in front of you as we do the transition. There is a rule that's written into the UDC that basically says that whatever ordinance was in place at the time that the application was deemed complete, those cases would still go under the old code. So you'll continue to see, even if this action takes place Thursday, you'll continue to see some cases for a little while, and then after that we'll be into a pure UDC agenda. I believe, I think that we were looking at potentially January. It would be February probably before you actually see a completely pure agenda. And that's about all that we have as far as.
And I've probably been told this, but what is the status of the parish UDC?
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay, I apologize.
Yeah.
It's on their agenda for Thursday. So tomorrow.
Yeah, we're already in full implementation in the city.
I thought that, I apologize. I thought you were talking about some residuals from previous under the city of Shreveport.
But we do have some amendments that were just considered by the city council, that it was kind of a cleanup, and I will tell you, we'll continue to see that probably for several months. You know, we'll continue to find things. We keep a running list of issues that we run across. It's fairly standard practice. Anytime that you're dealing with a new ordinance, you find things that, you know, didn't read quite right, or maybe there's some unintended consequences. So, you know, that just happened through the city council, and we'll probably have that every few months. And it's just kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to new ordinances.
Any other staff reports?
No, sir.
Any items for future discussion?
No, sir.
Any comments from board members? We're adjourned. I don't know if I did too good of a job, but